weekend, I don't care. This is America right here. We like to get together and assemble. And we're doing it peacefully and cleanly and doing it the American way. Hey, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's an election coming up this year. Kind of a big one. And we want to encourage you guys. There's been a lot of fear as you read the news. I'm kind of getting tired of reading the news. I mean, I can't even watch baseball right now. But that being said, we're asking every one of you, please consider working at the polls this year for August and November. Do we have any election volunteers that typically help out at the polls in here anyway? There's one. We got one. We need a lot more than one for this county. So I'm asking y'all, please. There are some folks who are, most of our poll worker population is more retired, so they're a little bit nervous about that November election. So the good news is you don't have to be retired to work at the poll. You can be 16, 17, or 18 and higher. So my 16-year-old found out yesterday that he is going to be working at the poll in Johnson County. He says, Dad, I don't want to do this. And I said, there's a lot of things I have to do that I don't want to do, but this is one of the things you're going to do. Because here's what I found out, is a lot of times those 16, 17-year-olds, they don't want to work at the poll, but after they do it, they want to do it every election cycle. And with the retired population working with young teenagers, it's the bookends of our society and a great civic duty. As a matter of fact, I don't know about you, but I needed a new cell phone, so guess what I did? I gave it to my 16-year-old and said, make it work. And most of our elections are becoming more and more electronic and digital, and it's nice to have that digital age work with our senior population to execute on an election to keep it secure. Let you guys know, especially if you're working for candidates, 2 years ago we had about 51,000 requests for mail-in ballots. This year we're up to over 125,000. So you can reach out to the party. They can help you get that list. Make sure you reach out to those folks and make sure they vote. You are allowed to help them. And folks will say, well, what about the fraud on the ballot? Well, I don't know about other states, but in Kansas, we're pretty darn secure. You still have to have an ID when you vote by mail. As a matter of fact, there's going to be on the form, you're going to write down your driver's license if you mail in your ballot. If you don't have a driver's license, you use your legal ID, and if you don't have that ID, you can use any government-issued ID, make a copy of it, send it in with the ballot. You got to sign the envelope. We're going to take the signature of that envelope to make sure it matches what you put on the application and what's on file with the Department of Revenue with the driver's license. So it's really, really hard to cheat on those mail-in ballots. That being said, you can still vote in person in August and November. We're not shutting down the election. If you want to get out there and vote, please do it. We encourage you to. If it's safe enough to go to the liquor store, by gosh, it's safe enough to go vote in November and August. So please make sure you do it. I'm a little frustrated. We got a governor across the river over here in Missouri that said, if you're scared to vote, don't vote because safety's more important than anything. I agree. That was a horrible anti-Republican thing for a Republican governor to say. I don't care how scared you are. Get out there and vote. There's no excuse not to. If a bunch of Iraqis can dip their finger in purple ink and know that tattooed them to be a target against ISIS, we can go out there and vote like we always do. So get your friends, get out there and vote. The polls will be open, and the governor is not going to shut it down. So folks like Kevin Braun are going to need your help, and I'm going to tell you, I want to give him props because we've had some election laws that have passed through the last 2 years, and I've never seen someone do homework on election law like Kevin Braun. So you guys, this is a swing area, and I'm asking you to swing hard for Kevin Braun, get him elected. I can't ask you much more than that. I would ask you to vote for us this year, but that would be voter fraud because we're not on the ballot. I'm sure you want to hear from those folks who are. So I'm going to let it go. But please, be courageous, get out there and vote. And if anybody says they're too scared to vote, you tell them we're Americans and we're courageous. Thank you all.
All right, we've got a lot of folks to talk to today, and we're going to, my introductions are going to be probably limited to saying their name. So, Steve Watkins.
Well, that's what I prefer anyway. I tell you what, I woke up, it felt like Christmas morning. Not just because we have this event, but I'm not sure if you're aware, but what's happening in Oklahoma later tonight. Donald Trump on the rally campaign. I tell you, that has me so energized. And I know we're going to watch it. He has that support coming out What do I got? Am I out of the view?
No, you got my name on your shoulder.
It's these broad shoulders that I got. It's tough getting through narrow places. You know, it feels like we got that traction again, like before COVID, when Donald Trump was doing these rallies and we were reminded as to how very important our cause is. Because I'll tell you what, if they win in November, we will fail to look like the America our founding fathers intended. They are out after our institutions, after our guns, after our churches, after our freedoms to speech, after our freedoms to congregate. So we've got to fight the good fight. But the good news is, we know, and people in this community know, that the true strength comes in the unity. Locking our shields, and regardless of who advances past these primaries going into November as a unified force. Because I'll tell you what, like many of you, and I know a lot of you, served in the military and actually served not too far away. The strength of any force, the strength of any blow, it's actually not in that edge of the broadsword. The true strength comes in the foundation, in the gut. And when that whips around, and that broadsword of republicanism whips around in November, we're going to decapitate those Democrats. So thank you. I'm Steve Watkins, running for re-election. We'd love to have your support. God bless you. God bless America.
All right, I do have some things I will say when I'm announcing people. I will say what offices they're running for. I should have said that's 2nd Congressional District. That's Steve Watkins. He's your elected congressman. And we also have somebody else running for 2nd District, the Treasurer of Kansas, Mr. Jake Turner.
Thank you all so much for being here on a beautiful day. The rain has held out, and it's a really good crowd. I want to talk for a little bit about why we're all here. We're all here because we care about this country. We care about the future of this country. We care about our children and making sure that we leave the campground better than we found it, right? There are other things that you could be doing, but you chose to be here. And so I want to talk about some of those issues that are so important that we stand up and lead on. It's what I've been doing for a long time. It's been an honor to be your state treasurer, but before that I was in the state legislature. And it was important for me to not sit on the back row and watch things go by, but to stand up and lead on issue after issue. It's why I have an A+ rating from the NRA, because I actually stood up and carried constitutional carry on the floor of the Senate that gives you all the right to concealed carry without a permit in Kansas. I'm proud to have stand up and won the Pro-Life Hero Award from Kansans for Life. That's another issue that brings us together and makes sure that we have people that are willing to stand up and lead on this at the federal level. We need to make sure we keep taxes low, regulation low. And you know the way to do that, folks? It's by making sure that we win in November. It's by making sure that Donald Trump gets 4 more years. It's by making sure that we take the speaker's gavel away from Nancy Pelosi. And it's why it's so important we maintain control of the Senate. Because Donald Trump has done a great job when it comes to tax cuts and deregulation, a great foreign policy led by Mike Pompeo, which we should be so proud of, who's from Kansas. But the Senate has done a fabulous job confirming conservative judges at the Supreme Court level and all the way down. We should be very proud of them for the job that they've done. Let me tell you about what's coming up in November for the 2nd Congressional District. The mayor of Topeka is running. Her name is Michelle DeLisla. She was just endorsed by Elizabeth Warren. Kathleen Sebelius is having a fundraiser, had a fundraiser with her and Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar. Nancy Pelosi has targeted this seat. It is so important that we don't allow another liberal like Sharice Davids come into the 2nd Congressional District, and it sure can happen. That's why I'm in this race, because I stand up and defend conservative principles, and I know how to win elections. I hope that you will remember me when August 4th comes around. It'll be here before you know it. I'm asking for your support. I'll be around here afterwards and look forward to talking to you one-on-one. Before I leave, I started out by talking about the reason we're all here. I would like to introduce to you several of the reasons that I'm here. My wife, Suzanne, is back here. And I didn't want to spoil their fun, but back here We've got 4 of our kids, Ava, Joe, Maggie, and Gus, that are here with us today. Those are the reasons that we are doing this. It's the reason that we believe so firmly in standing up and leading on this issue, is because we have to make sure we leave this country in better shape than we found it. And let me tell you, folks, we've got a lot of work to do, and I'm so proud to be standing shoulder to shoulder with folks like you to do it. God bless you all, and thank you very much.
All right, now we had started the Secretary of State who's not facing election this year, and we also have somebody else who can talk to us today who's not facing election, our Attorney General, Mr. Derek Schmidt.
Yeah, it's nice. Nice to be midterm. I guess that makes us the Republican stability in Topeka, which is a little less certain than it has been. So, for all of you who are running for the State House, God bless you, and please win in November. We need to shore up some numbers just a little bit. It's amazing what a difference one chink in the armor can make in the governor's office. But that's not why we're here today. So, I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm not running this year. I am grateful for the privilege of serving you as your Attorney General. I've had the opportunity to do that now for, I can't believe it, but a decade. It's hard to believe. Chris and I started in the office at the same time. He's moving on to other things, whatever those other things may be. I'm being, politically correct with everybody. But now Scott and I are serving together, and, we've got fortifications around the Memorial Hall, just kind of the Republican bulwark where we hold on to make sure things are run properly. Look, here's the deal. There's a lot going on, I don't have to tell you that. It's true in the state, it's true in some of our localities, it's true nationally. But here, I think, is what remains true, and I gotta tell you how good it feels to be here today. I feel like I've broken out of house arrest. Now we're here with people who are not masked, and it's not Halloween all the time, every day. But the truth is, we got some big issues, we got some big problems, we got some big headaches. But there is nothing wrong with America that patriotic Americans cannot fix. And that is true with Kansas as well. So God bless you all for showing up today, supporting our candidates, making sure we get strong candidates advanced past August, and we get winning candidates advanced in November, so that we can start to take this country and move it in the right direction once again. God bless you all for your work on behalf of America and this Republican Party.
I'm not shorter than a lot of people, but Derek and Dave Lindstrom, when he gets up here, he'll have to raise the mic up. All right, so we're going to move on to our senator candidates. We've got some people here who have put their hand in the air and said they want to be the junior senator from Kansas. I did it alphabetically. So our first speaker for U.S. Senate is Bob Hamilton.
He's even taller than I am. Well, as you know, there is a Senate race coming up, and I am an outsider, and most of you don't know because I am an outsider who I really am, so I want to kind of get into who I am and what I'm all about. So, my dad was a plumber, and he gave me the tools of the trade. So I'm a plumber, and in 1983, I started my own plumbing company with my lovely bride, Teresa, who's right over there on her phone. And we started in 1983, and I knew if we were going to succeed, we needed to follow the lessons that my dad taught me, which is work hard, treat people with respect, deliver on your promises, and over-deliver to your customers. And it worked. Because today, we have over 160 people in that company serving our customers well with high-paying jobs. So Teresa and I have not only been blessed with creating a company, creating jobs, but we've also been blessed with raising 12 wonderful, amazing children. Many of they're filtering about today, and they look a lot like me, so they probably stand out. So I say, whenever I say I have 12 kids, there's a lot of questions that pop up into people's heads. And the first one is, yes, we are pro-life. Yes, we are Catholic. We have 6 boys and we have 6 girls. We planned it. There were no twins, and yes, my lovely bride Teresa is a saint. So I'd like to answer some other questions that kind of just came up, as there was unfortunately, smear campaign against me that I'd like to address. And I don't think it was right, but it was a bunch of lies and deceit and the reason why we need to drain the swamp. But I am absolutely voted for President Trump. I can't stand Hillary. I live pro-life. It's been my entire life. I have a big family. I have 6 girls. I am for separating bathrooms. I actually have given to Republican campaigns. I've given to pro-life things. So, you know, it's too bad that it lies in deceit. But I do have kids, and I worry about my kids. I worry about your kids, and I worry about future generations. And what kind of world are we going to leave them? They need a world based on opportunity and freedom. And they need communities like this that are based on family and faith. And a country that actually rewards self-responsibility. When did we throw out self-responsibility? So that's, you know, they also need a future as big and beautiful and bright as their ability to dream. So that's why I'm running for U.S. Senate, because President Trump needs another conservative to help him, because he too deals with a lot of crap. And luckily, I'm a plumber, that's my specialty. We keep sending professional politicians up to Washington that can't fix anything. We need to send somebody there that can actually fix things. That's been my whole career. I know what it's like to make a payroll in tough economic times. Okay, I provided health insurance to all of my employees, and I've created hundreds of jobs that families rely on for their income. So, you know, I'm a plumber, I'm a businessman, I'm a husband, and I'm a dad. So I'm not a professional politician, but I will go to Washington and I will help President Trump build that wall. Let's secure our borders. I will vote pro-life 100% of the time. I am a hunter. I own a lot of guns. I am for the Second Amendment. I am for lower taxes. I'm a businessman. I'm for lower taxes. I'm for less regulations and getting government out of our way. You know, I'll fight for our rural communities and our hardworking farmers, and I will fight for better health care and getting government-run socialized medicine gone. You know, I have a really, really good life, and I have a great, great family, very large family. And, you know, if we don't go up to Washington, if we don't send somebody up there that, if we keep sending professional politicians up there, then this country's in trouble. You know, we need to send somebody up there that can fix things. So, they're telling me time. So if you want to actually help President Trump drain the swamp, I say hire a plumber. Thank you very much. And go to hamiltonforkansas.com and learn more about me. You can talk to me in the booth over here too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so our next speaker is former Secretary of State Chris Kobach.
Thank you. It's always good to be here in Leavenworth, my political home base. As many of you know, we used to live about 8 or 10 miles west of here, and then we bought a farm and moved or 8 or 10 miles east of here, and then we bought a farm, and now we're about 20 miles west of here. And I want to introduce Reagan and Charlie, 2 of my 5 daughters. You may remember Reagan. I think we were trying to figure out, I think we've been at every one of these Leavenworth County picnics for the last 10 years. So when Reagan started, she was 4 years old. And she's here at her 10th picnic at age 14. And she's taller than Mom now, too, by the way. So, yeah, that's an issue in the family. We'll see how many are taller than Mom. Anyway, you guys have heard me speak a million times, and I don't want to repeat myself. I was just speaking here in Leavenworth County a couple days ago. So I'm not going to talk about things I've talked about before. You already know my position on life. And, oh, by the way, I got James Dobson's endorsement. Really happy about that on the life issue. And I think you've heard my position on illegal immigration. If you haven't, read about it. And you probably know my position on guns, and you know, Gun Owners of America and National Association of Gun Rights both endorse me, and of course I have the A+. I mean, if you don't have an A+ with the NRA, there's something wrong, right? So anyway, I want to talk about two issues you haven't heard me talk about probably, and they're both on my mind this week. One is a policy that I proposed on Tuesday, and we issued a video, and that is, it is time to stop trans athletes from competing in women's sports. I did not imagine 2 years ago that I would ever be talking about trans athletes at the Leavenworth County picnic. But did you know that in women's sports, collegiate sports now, a biological male is crushing all of the records in women's competitive track cycling? A biological male is obliterating the records in track and field events, and a biological male is crushing all of the records in weightlifting. And it's just 3 sports so far, folks. If nobody takes a stand, it's going to be 6 sports next year, 9 sports the year after that. And it'll keep on going. And then if Republicans take a stand 3 years from now, it'll be too late. It'll be, oh yeah, we do trans stuff. That's just the way things are now. Well, that's not the way things are going to be. We have to take a stand. I've got 5 daughters, and other candidates have daughters. Look, if my daughters want to train competitively in college sports like I did, or many of you did, you know how that is. That's your dream. For 4 years, that becomes your focus. You live it, you breathe it, you think it, you wake up thinking about training. If they have their championship stolen by a dude, then something is wrong. That's simply got to stop. So how do we do it? Why is this a federal issue? Title IX, ladies and gentlemen, Title IX created the vibrant women's sporting world that we have, and that's federal money. And so I am saying that no college that allows men, biological males, to compete on a women's team gets 1 penny of Title IX funds. And you know, I think we might even get a few Democrats to vote to agree with us on that issue. They sure better, because the feminist movement was one of the big causes was building women's sports and making that something that got just as much support, just as much attention and money as men's sports. We don't want to destroy the women's dreams and destroy women's sports. So that's one issue you maybe haven't heard me talk about, but I'm going to be pushing hard on that one in the Senate. The second one is judges. You know that I was a professor of constitutional law for 15 years. I write regularly about judicial issues for Breitbart. If you haven't seen it, I published a column yesterday on the DACA decision. A horrible decision issued by the 4 liberal activist justices, plus Chief Justice Roberts. He left the reservation again and wrote a horrific opinion. The good news is it doesn't completely end the president's efforts to stop DACA, which I have been counseling the president on since I was working with him in the campaign of 2016. He promised in 2016 he would end DACA, and he followed through on his promise in September of 2017. But of course, the liberals took him to court. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of it, but the bottom line is we have got to make sure that every justice that gets on that Supreme Court is a constitutionalist, an originalist. No more activists on the Supreme Court. We need to get President Trump's nominees through. As I think it was Jake said, the Senate has done a pretty good job, but they haven't done it fast enough. There's still a long list of nominees, good constitutionalist Republicans. We need to get them on the bench right away. We need to get them on the bench yesterday, because we have to populate our benches with good judges. I've argued cases, Derek has argued cases in front of the 10th Circuit, and there are Republican nominees that George W. Bush put on the 10th Circuit who are every bit as liberal as the Obama nominees on that circuit. I used to clerk on the 10th Circuit. I know those judges personally. It's shameful. And that means we have to have Republican. Now, Trump hasn't made those mistakes. George W. Bush made those mistakes. His White House counsel's office did. We need senators who will be that final line of defense. You do not put an activist on that court for life, because you can't get that person out of there. And that's where our Second Amendment is protected. That's where our right to life is protected. That's where so many things we hold dear are protected. And by the time, I'm going to wrap it up here, by the time we have the next Supreme Court nominee, you thought Kavanaugh's fight was bitter? That's going to be child's play compared to the next nominee if perhaps Ruth Bader Ginsburg retires for her health or something like that. We are going to need warriors to go in there and fight for that Republican nominee. And if, God forbid, Trump isn't our president, we are going to need warriors to go in there and fight against the nominee that President Joe Biden might put up. We need to have people ready to do battle. Kansas hasn't had anybody on the Judiciary Committee for 10 years. I want to get there, and I'm ready for the fight. Thank you.
Our final candidate for U.S. Senate is former Kansas City Chief Oh, that's right. We have Rogers, so it's not our final. We have 5, 4, whatever. Dave, we actually are trying to get Dave Lindstrom up here, so come on down.
Oh, can I do this? Is that all right? No?
Well, just stay back.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We got to have some smiles here. Who won the Super Bowl this year? Huh? I'm gonna do my impression of Andy Reid.
How about those? Chiefs! One more time, that's not good enough. How about those? Chiefs! That's good, that's good.
It's good to be back here again. I was here last year. Boy, this year really has flown by. It's been, not much has happened with me this past year as it relates to, since I've been here. But my name is Dave Lindstrom, and I am a former Chief. I came here to play for the Chiefs in 1978, played 9 years in the NFL. And I will tell you, that was great training because I know how to mix it up in a hostile environment, and that's kind of what politics is today. I come from a blue-collar family, and I have also 2 brothers who played in the NFL as well. I have a nephew who was last year's first-round draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons. I wanted the Chiefs to pick him, but he wasn't there when the Chiefs had their pick. But I want to tell you, I come from a blue-collar family. We didn't have much, but we didn't know it. We had a great education. And the best way for me to explain where I come from is to talk about my brother. Does anyone ever talk about their siblings? We never went out to eat. Never. We couldn't afford to go out to eat. And my youngest brother was probably the best athlete. It's hard, I'll say that in front of you, but I won't say that in front of him. We never went out to eat, but he was the best athlete, and he was recruited all over the country. All over the country. He went to the University of Michigan for a recruiting trip. Anyone ever heard of Bo Schembechler? Bo Schembechler is the Bill Schneider of college coaching. He was terrific at the time. And so they invite my parents and my brother to a fancy country club in Detroit. They go to Detroit, they're at this country club, and the waiter walks up to my brother and says, "Young man, you are the guest of honor here today. What would you like for dinner?" And my brother looked at him and said, "I'll have a steak." And the waiter said, "How would you like that? Medium?" And my brother said, "No, I want a great big one." I told you, we never went out to eat. We never went out to eat. My name is Dave Lindstrom, and I want you to know that I am honored to be here before you today. My mom, bless her heart, passed away 2 years ago at 93. She taught me the verse Luke 12:48. To those whom much is given, much is expected. To those whom much is given, much is expected. It's not on my bucket list to be in the United States Senate. It's not on my bucket list. My wife and I, next Tuesday, will celebrate our 41st wedding anniversary. I have been blessed. You all standing here at this picnic today have been blessed. You know why? Because you live in the state of Kansas. We are blessed living in the state of Kansas. I have been blessed. Not only did I have an opportunity to play professional football for 9 years, I had an opportunity to run my own business for 25 years. I had an opportunity to serve my state in my local communities as a county commissioner for 10 years and a trustee of my Johnson County Community College for 7 years. To those whom much is given, much is expected. I expect a lot of myself. When I'm not running for the United States Senate, I'm involved in so many other things. I'm chairman of the Kansas Turnpike Authority. I'm chairman of Kansas Leadership Center. I've been chairman of the Kansas Special Olympics for the state. Not because I want to gain something, but because of what my mom taught me. To those whom much is given, much is expected. Let me tell you why I'm running for the United States Senate. I'm running for the United States Senate because I believe with all my heart. Turn on the news. This country is under attack. This country is under attack. We're under attack when we have politicians in Washington talking about socialism as an economic way forward in this country. Folks, we're under attack. We're under attack when we have folks in Washington talking about open borders at the expense of life, liberty, and the health of our citizens. We're under attack. I'll make it quick. We're under attack when we have elected officials, both Republicans and Democrats, supporting trillion-dollar deficit budgets. Folks, that's why I'm running for United States Senate. I will serve to serve, not to self-serve. I'm not doing this to climb the next rung on the ladder. I'm not doing this to be elected or re-elected. I'm doing this because I want to be part of that change in Washington, D.C., and I want to go support this president and be that change for you. Thank you very much.
All right, bring that back down. Theatrics. Our next speaker is currently the representative for the Big First in Western Kansas, Dr. Roger Marshall.
So, good afternoon, Leavenworth GOP. This is a great event. Rhett, Terry, thanks for your leadership. I get to do these all across the state for the past 3 years, and if there's a more active Republican County party, I haven't seen it. So great work here today. Yeah, indeed, great job. You know, if there's one thing you're going to remember about Roger Marshall today, I hope you remember the number 98. 98% of the time, I voted to support President Trump. One of the top 10 voting records in all of Congress. That I've stood beside President Trump through the impeachment process, through the trade wars, through the coronavirus, the hydroxychloroquine issue even, the New York Times calling me and just driving me crazy. And I was very proud to stand beside the president on the issue of the sanctity of a doctor-patient relationship. And now I'm standing beside him during the riots as well. I thought I might just share a little quick story with you all, and sometimes you can share a life a little bit better through a story, but you know, I got to meet President Trump several times, and folks always ask me, what's he like? What's he like? So, goodness, a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, I was invited to the White House to sit down with President Trump for a one-on-one meeting to discuss health care. The Republican Study Committee, the largest conservative caucus in all of Congress, has asked me to write the legislation to replace Obamacare with, and the president wanted to talk to me about it. So I got to the White House, and there was Mick Mulvaney to greet me. Mick's the president's chief, and I got to know Mick through the baseball team. Mick's a mean second baseman, all 5'3", 105 pounds of him. And I walk into Mick's office. He says, "Roger, you've got 10 minutes with the president." I said, "Great, Mick, whatever the president wants, I'm here at your beck and call." And Mick and I are chatting, and I look behind Mick's desk, and there's a white erase board behind his desk. And guess what was on his erase board? The president's campaign promises. And I think it's great that we serve a politician who makes promises and keeps those promises and keeps that in front of his staff every single day. So we walked into the Oval Office and shook hands with the president. I said, "Good morning, Mr. President." And before I could sit down, the president said, "Roger, how are your farmers doing?" I said, "Well, Mr. President, they're struggling a little bit." And he said, "You know, I know they are." And for 30 minutes, we talked about agriculture and trade. And I was just blown away by the president's genuine love and care for hardworking farmers and ranchers. A guy that's from Brooklyn, New York, cares about farmers and ranchers. And I think that's just the attitude that he has. He truly does care about hardworking Americans all across the country. So we're chatting, we're getting into 30 minutes of my 10-minute meeting, and Mick Mulvaney is pacing, and I'm sitting beside the President of the United States, and I look between us, and on the coffee table is a little red button. And I had one of those out-of-body experiences, you know. It really took 30 seconds, but it seemed like 20 minutes. I thought about myself. Little Roger Marshall, a fifth-generation farm kid, grew up in El Dorado, became a first-generation college student. My American dream was to go to medical school. I got to do that. I've lived this American dream, delivered 5,000 babies. My wife and I married for 37 years, 4 kids, 2 grandsons. I've lived the American dream, and now I'm a congressman sitting next to the most powerful man in the world, and the red button's between us. You know, the president, what you don't know is he can be a little mischievous at times too, and enjoys a good laugh himself. And he saw me looking at that red button, and he said, "Roger, I bet you're wondering what that red button's for." And before I could shake my head yes, he reaches over and touches the red button. And I think, oh my gosh. I look outside, I think Marine Helicopter 1's going to be landing. I think a Secret Service agent's going to be jumping out from behind a table and throwing me into some type of a cable car. And I looked up, and there was a Marine Corporal with the Diet Coke for the president. So the joke was on me, but the president truly does like his Diet Coke. And, I share that story just to show you the passion in Donald Trump's heart, that he truly, truly does care about hardworking Americans. I want to just maybe close by talking just a little bit about the riot situation. I was raised on the farm, but we moved into town, and my dad became the chief of police in El Dorado. For 25 years, my dad was the chief of police. He taught me right from wrong. He taught me about law and order. And one of his favorite sayings was, 2 wrongs don't make a right. That no matter what the crime was committed, nobody has the right to vandalize, to take another person's life, to loot, all those things. And I'm just proud to stand beside this president right now that I can't imagine. Maybe the most foolish thing I could think of would be to defund the police force right now. Instead, they need more funds. And that's why I'm leading legislation, working with President Trump to empower our police, that we're going to give them more training and give them the opportunity, the training that they need to do. I remember my dad. He was a social worker. He had to be a traffic cop. He had to be a detective, a fireman, a marital counselor. The most dangerous jobs my dad did was the person that was drunk on his front porch, had a shotgun, and his wife, and he was going to kill his wife and then kill himself. And I just remembered my dad on the phone telling everybody, they had the walkie-talkies, and he would just say, stand down. And my dad was the guy that would go and take the gun from the guy. My dad pulled one of my 4th grade classmates out of a fire once and did CPR on him. So just know that when I look through this challenge, and everywhere I go, we've been in 60 or 70 cities in the past 2 weeks, Kansans want law and order. But it's the responsibility of local officials, of local mayors and county officials to ask the governor for the National Guard if we need them. So the president just can't say, here we are. They need to be invited, but we have to stand up right now. So just like I've been standing beside President Trump for these last 3 years, I'm going to keep standing by him. I appreciate your vote and your support. God bless this wonderful country. Thank you so much.
Can I have another round of applause for our congressional and Senate candidates? I appreciate their coming all the way out here. These Senate candidates, they got to go down to Goodland on the western border, or Colby, or Garden City. They've got to go up to Atchison and beyond. They got to go down to the southeast corner. They got to travel all over the state. They got to do any state like this. Derek Schmidt, Jake Latourneau, when he's running for treasurer, running for the Senate now, those people have to travel the entire state. It's a big, big job, and I appreciate you putting the time and effort in for the Republican Party to try to get a good, solid senator into the U.S. Senate. So thank you very much. Same goes with our congressional people running for Congress. Steve Watkins and Jake Latourneau, they have 25 counties they got to go visit. We're glad to have them here today in Leavenworth County. So make sure your friends know that those candidates actually come to our county. If somebody says they haven't seen Jake Latourneau or Steve Watkins, tell them, hey, I saw him. He comes to the Republican events. Come join us. You'll see them. If they say they haven't seen Chris Kobach or Dr. Marshall or Dave Lindstrom or Bob Hamilton, say, hey, he comes to the Leavenworth thing. So have them come down to our things. They'll be able to see those candidates, okay? So we're going to stick with the Senate now. We're going to go to the Kansas Senate, come down from the U.S. Senate down to Kansas Senate. And our first speaker is running for the 5th Senate District, Mr. Kevin Braun.
Thank you, Red. So I don't want to disappoint Secretary Schwab, so I took notes. So first, I want to thank you for allowing me to represent you. I want to thank Secretary Schwab for his comments. It was an honor for me to carry a constitutional amendment that'll be in the state of Kansas forever. So that was a great thing for me. With 5 minutes, I'm going to cover this a little differently. I'm just going to cover it, and I'm going to categorize it as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Right? So I want to look at the things that we've done before and what we want to do going forward. On life, I'm pro-life, and my record reflects that. In 2019, I had the opportunity to co-sponsor a life resolution for post-birth abortion in New York. And I stood proudly and signed that resolution and joined that resolution. It just doesn't reflect Kansas values, and it doesn't reflect where we want to go as a country. In 2019, I also voted for the abortion pill amendment, where you'd have to do a notification that you have the ability to reverse an abortion. It's critical that when you go to a doctor, that you get all the information you need in regard to any possible things that could happen. So at a minimum, we should make sure that that happens. And in 2020, I voted for the Value Them Both Amendment. I hope to vote for the Value Them Both Amendment in 2021 for the last time. So it's critical that you know that that passed the Kansas Senate for one reason, and that's because in the Kansas Senate, we have a supermajority of Republicans. Right? On the abortion pill notification bill, it failed by one vote. That was the vote of my opponent in this race in the House. Going forward, my vote will still be the vote that crosses us over the line for the Value Them Both Amendment. Now, you might say, you know, you're just one senator out of 40, what's the big deal? I am the most targeted seat by the Democratic Party of Kansas for the Kansas Senate. I'm number one, and I'm up for the challenge, but I'm gonna need your help. So we have to be prepared for that. If we lose that supermajority, and me being the number one target, you gotta know it's gonna change your life. It's gonna change life in Kansas, and it's gonna change whether we can pass bills in the future. So I need you to stand with me on that. On liberty, in 2019, I voted for a $120 million tax cut. Everybody likes that, right? The governor vetoed it, so we went for a skinny version, a $60 million tax cut. The governor vetoed it, right? But it's important that you know that you stand for tax reduction, and it's somebody who actually has a voting record to be able to do that. In 2020, I voted for tax transparency. We really want to empower our local units of government to be able to, our county commissions and our cities to have more power. But I voted for transparency to make sure that if you did, that you know what is on your taxes and you know why they are going up and you know about your assessments. I also voted for a bill that would make sure that you didn't get a tax increase just for doing basic maintenance on your house. And I think that's important. In regard to COVID relief, Bill 1 vetoed, Bill 2 passed and signed. In both of those bills, I voted to open up Kansas, right? We all want to keep Kansans safe, right? So those at risk have the ability to be taken care of. For the rest of us, and I guess that includes all of us, right? We want the ability to have the freedom and the ability to do what we want and make a living. So I'm proud of that vote, and I think that opened Kansas up. And lastly, on the pursuit of happiness. There are no guarantees, right? We're an interesting party because the other party wants to put guarantees and wants to put everybody in a box and wants to say, you get this, and I'm going to pick a winner and I'm going to pick a loser. Guys, there are no guarantees. When you open a business, there's no guarantee, but you can compete. With no guarantees, you still deserve the right to make sure that your business does not get burned to the ground, right? You deserve the police protections that come with paying your taxes. You deserve minimum intrusion necessary into your business and into your way of life. And you deserve limits on taxation. We can't tax everything. We know that there's fundamental things we need, but we need to make sure that taxes stay low. My votes over the last 2 years reflect these values. And if you share these values, I would greatly appreciate your support going forward. If you live in Senate District 5, I'd like you to stop over and pick up a sign so that I don't have to deliver it to your house. And God bless all of you. Thank you so much for your support.
Kevin's a seat we have to keep. Our next speaker is going to be for a seat we have to win. For the 3rd Senate District, we have a longtime House member who's decided he's going to try to take that seat back to the Republican Party. So let's give it up for
Willie Dove. Hello. Guys, could we ever pick a better day to come out? It's wonderful. I recall listening to the weather that they were saying, well, it's going to rain about 10 to 12. Well, God says, no, we need to get them out there. I want to thank everyone for coming out, especially for the good food. I like good food, as you can see. I got a great cook at home that makes sure I'm well fed. And I want to thank the Leavenworth County women for all the work that they have done, because without them, a lot of us would not be here, and I truly mean that. A lot of people are asking me, they say, well, Willie, why are you running in a race that has been lost many times over? Well, actually, it has not been lost. Our voters did not come out to vote. That's one of the things that has happened in the 3rd Senate District. And I'll give you some information here, points of interest. There are 50,000 voters in the 3rd Senate District. 50K, okay? So why did we lose when there's only 18,000 Democrats and 24,000 Republicans? The rest are unaffiliated. So that tells us, the campaign, that we need to concentrate on our base. And we've been doing that. And so far the reception has been great. Because most people say to me, Willie, you're going into the lion's den, going into Lawrence. And I said, well, how do you get it done? You got to go where they are. So that's the first thing that we have started doing, and amazingly, which I was even amazed at this, is that individuals would come out of the house and say, great, you're running against that guy? Yep, I am. I even got a couple of signs out in Lawrence. Guys, we can win this. This is a very winnable seat. And all we have to do as Republicans is stick together and go out and vote. And encourage others to go out and vote. That's what needs to be done. Now, this is I consider the choir. So I'm going to not preach to you about things that we already know. The things we don't know are the things we do know. If we go out and work for this, this can happen. And how do we get this done? Well, we get this done by having more volunteers. We get this done by having more one-on-one conversations. My slogan is bringing people together, getting things done. And we can do that. That's what I've done my entire career in the 38th District. And it's worked very well. It's not because of me. It's because of individuals here. And individuals believing that we can do this. So I would implore each and every person here to think about that. Bring your friends, bring your neighbors, do telephone calls. Whatever it is that you feel that you have not done in the past, you can do. And most of all, pray. You hear me? I mean, sincerely pray. Because this is not going to be an easy race. It's going to be probably the toughest race that I've ever come up against. But that's okay. Because I've got the armor of God working for me. And I don't mind that. So I would implore you to, also we need to look for volunteers. We need more young people, volunteers, to come out with us. Because us old dogs, we're going to fade away one day. No. Okay? Oh yes, we are. And being at my age, I'm looking for more young, energetic Republicans that have the virtues and values that I would like to see in this district. Candace has been very good for Sunday and I. Very good. It's produced 3 grandchildren, which we're very proud of. And each one of them will say to me, Papa, why are you doing this? Because I want to leave it a better place for you. So that when you have kids, it'll be a better place. Thank you, everyone. Oh, and by the way, we do like to have coffee. So if you have any individuals that would like to have coffee together, let's bring them together and make that work. You can get a hold of us on the website. It's very easy. And you can also donate. How about that? It gets very quiet when you say that. Thank you.
was standing there while we were speaking, looking all around for the county attorney. I think I found him. So Todd Thompson is running for county attorney. I think he's running unopposed. You wanted a little time to speak, Todd? All right, so last time I had Todd at an event, I didn't know he was there, and he said, well, it's because COVID, I haven't had my hair cut in a while. So I'd like you to give a round of applause to our next county attorney, Todd Thompson.
Well, God bless you all for being here. I mean, we've been blessed with the food, blessed with the weather. But one of the things that we need to do, one of the things I want you all to do, I really want you to go out and start thanking our law enforcement. I work alongside them every day. They put their life on the line every day. They don't know if they're going to come home every day. And we've seen a lot that have been injured and hurt over the past few months. And there's a great movement, but we also have to have a great responsibility to these men and women that put their life on the line. So I'm blessed not to have an opponent, and there's going to be a lot of good conversation today, so I'll keep it short. I've been open, I've been listening to everything that's been going on nationally and within our state and within our county. But the one thing I want to make sure to emphasize to every single one of you is to thank those officers. We can't lose them. We need them. I can't have cases. I can't prosecute without those people protecting us. And my number one priority has always been making our community safe, keeping us sound, making sure we can go to sleep at night, not having to worry about anything. And we need those people to protect us, to watch over us, and make sure we can continue to not worry when we lock our doors at night and go to bed. So thank you all. Thank you all for being here. God bless.
Our next speaker is one of those law enforcement people for Leavenworth County running for sheriff again, and two-time champion right now. We'll help him go for number 3, Sheriff Andy Dedeke.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm Andy Dedeke. I have been at the Sheriff's Office for 28 years. The last 2 terms, I've had the extreme privilege, in fact, the honor of being your elected sheriff in Leavenworth County. One of the things about this job is every 4 years you come up for a performance review. This is the year of my performance review. And so what I want you to do is take a look. How have I done? I think when you dig into it, you're going to find that I run a very good, fair office. It's constitutionally based. It is an office that is open and transparent. And these are all key things that we keep hearing in the news now. And despite what we've been hearing the last couple of weeks, I still want to do this job. There's stuff I want to get done yet. We have a great office. And so, you got a honeybee or something flying around me. So, I ask you to take a look. If I can answer any questions, feel free. I've got an opponent this year. Last time I was fortunate enough, I didn't have an opponent. This time, it's an individual from within the office. Caught me totally off guard. And, you know, this isn't my office. It's your office. You put me here. I want to stay here. I'm going to fight for this office. And the individual that's up against me is a 7-year patrolman, basically. And I tell you what, it takes a lot more than being a patrolman when running a modern-day sheriff's office. So I think that the best example would be this. If you're talking to somebody and they're asking the difference between the 2 candidates for sheriff, put yourself in the role of a city manager. Typically, a city manager is the one who hires the police chief. So you've been charged with bringing in a new chief for the city of 80,000 people, for this department of 122 personnel. Your applicant is a 28-year veteran who has shown progressive responsibility, who's been in the executive role, who has done well, or a guy who's driven a car around for 7 years and thinks he has all the answers now. To me, it's a no-brainer when you put the two together. So I ask you to evaluate my performance. At the end of that time, I ask for your support to put me back in office for another 4 years. Again, there's a lot that we have to do yet, and please give me the opportunity to do that. And thank you for your support.
We're going to stay at the county-wide level now. We have our next candidate who is running for an office that has been unopposed and held by a Democrat for the last 16 years, maybe last 12. I'm not sure if it's all 3 terms or not, but it takes a voters with a big heart and a lot of intestinal fortitude to run for this office and stand up and try to get a Republican in there. So I'd like to have a very heartfelt and very strong welcome for Terry Lois Mashburn.
Not that tall. I am Terry Lois Mashburn, and people have been saying, "Oh, you're Proctor." No, I'm not Mrs. Proctor, but anybody who knows me in this party knows I will support any Republican. I will work for every Republican to have them get into the office. It's my nature to serve the public. Whether it's a precinct committee woman or a Kansas State representative, I like serving my community. David French actually said, if she works this hard as a volunteer, think how hard she's going to work when she's actually getting paid. My education is a bachelor's in business administration, which I've had the opportunity to use extensively as an auditor with food and transportation industries. I was a business development manager with a new dining entertainment venue in Kansas. I've been regional supervisor over a combined business office for 4 metropolitan hospitals in the private sector. In the public sector, I've been a precinct committee woman for decades. We won't say how many. And I've also served as a legislative aide for 6 years, and I've been a Kansas State representative myself. As an entrepreneur, I have managed my own businesses. I'm also a licensed insurance agent with lines of authority in life, health, property casualty, crop, and personal lines. I promise you that I will work very hard and be dedicated to Leavenworth County as your Register of Deeds. My goal is that I will promote professionalism and a respectful work environment in the courthouse. And I also will work in the best interest of all the taxpayers. If you don't know anything about me, I am pro-life, I am pro-Second Amendment, I am pro the Lord God Almighty who reigns and rules over everything. The Lord chooses who the kings and leaders will be. I never should have been elected as a Kansas State representative, and I was. If the Lord wants me in this office, with your help, your volunteer time, and your vote, I'll be in there. And if he doesn't, praise the Lord. Thank you.
All right, if you're running for county commissioner, just sit down. We're going to get to you, county commissioner. You think there I was going to go from sheriff and county attorney and everything. But we're going to go back to State House now. And I'm saving the county commissioners for last because they're fun. And we're going to go a numerical order, and inside the numerical order of that, we're going to be alphabetical. So we're starting with 38th. It's an open seat, was held by Republican Willie Dove beforehand. And our first speaker who is interested in running for that is David Brewer. David Brewer.
Thank you very much. We've heard some really great speakers, and I don't plan to be a perfect speaker, so you might bear with me just a little bit on that deal. But I'm running for, obviously, the Kansas House of Representatives, 38th District. I'd like to thank first of all, I'd like to thank everyone here. Great meal today, wasn't it? How about that music, too?
That put everybody in a good mood, hopefully. As I said, my name is Dave Brewer. I'm a lifetime Kansan and Republican. Yay! I grew up in Basel. I'm the oldest of 7 sons. There's 9 years between me and my youngest brothers. So you certainly know that there was a lot of give and take there because I couldn't whip them all. So I had to make some allies when I was growing up. I'm very fortunate that I married my high school sweetheart, my wife Cheryl, and we've been married 47 years, which all to Cheryl, let you know on that deal. I started my own company in 1977, and I've been blessed with 4 children and 12 grandchildren. So I'm pretty happy with that. And they've all done really well, so I can't complain on that. I've been the mayor of Basel for 12 years. I've served on the Basel-Leavenworth School District, and I'm running for the Kansas House Representative because we need to rebuild our economy and create better paying jobs. Lower property taxes for our growing communities. Ensure local control of our schools. That's the best people that can tell what's going on in our schools are the people that live here and see what's happening every day. So I think local control is extremely important. I'm here to protect the values of the Kansas. I'm pro-life Catholic, and I'm a member of the NRA. I'll be around if anyone wants to talk. I have a palm card that says where I stand on a lot of these items over there. So if anyone wants to stick around a little bit, I'd be more than happy to hear it. It's also got my phone number and my email address on it. So if you want to go ahead and call me or text me, I certainly will be available at that deal. So there again, on August 4th, I'd like to have everybody come out and vote. And certainly we need to make sure that we put the Republican in here because we need to keep this seat too. Let's make sure that we keep this seat when we're moving on up there. Anyway, thank you for your support and thank you for it.
Tim Johnson. Sir. 138. Good afternoon. I am Tim Johnson. This is really hilarious. I am a teacher, and so somebody's not right next to me, and I hear him going, "A conservative teacher?" Oh, yes, I am very conservative, very pro-life. It is important to me. Now, Second Amendment is a fun thing for me because former policeman, I spent 31 years in the criminal justice service, and I will tell you right now that Andy Dedekey's department is one of the top sheriff's offices in this state. And I know that from professional experience, and I highly respect him. So myself and my kids were kind of gun nuts, so to speak. Three sons, 2 of them are special force military, another one is a policeman, so we like guns. So I'm at school and I'm a coach for the powerlifting team. I love that powerlifting team. We've been a great team. But I messed with our head coach because he has a rule that you can't cut off the sleeves of your shirt. Got to have full sleeves when you work out. So I wait till he's not around and I tell everybody, no, your constitutional right to bear arms. Because you want to show off your guns. And I got called into the office and asked not to say that anymore. It is what it is. So, with education, I took the job because I burned out in police work. I was a child abuse investigator. I handled some of the high-profile cases. That took a lot out of me. And I'm going to tell you that's one of the reasons I value life so importantly. Some of those small kids, there's things that you shouldn't even know about. And it starts early, and we can't give up those kids. That's why I'm so pro-life at this point in my life. But I feel like as a teacher, I've been effective in helping kids. And I agree, local schools should be run locally. I agree with the mayor on that totally. Because you know what your values are here in Basel, Tongi, DeSoto. You are the ones that should be setting those rules.
And now it's time for me maybe to step up to the next level and keep that in place. Local control. I worked hard for the kids. I was very fortunate to be honored as the Kansas High School Teacher of the Year 3 years ago. And I want to give that same energy and that same effort if you can help me replace Willie and keep our seat conservative in the Kansas House. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna take a little break because I did not realize that my counterpart at the state level is actually here. We have been honored by having state party chair Mike Kuckelman here, and he's going to say a few words now before we go into the next speaker.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Kuckelman, chairman of the Kansas Republican Party. First, I want to say thank you to the Leavenworth County Republican Party. This is a great event. Your Lincoln Day dinner was fabulous. And this county party runs so well. If we could get every county in the state to do what this party does, this county party does, as party chair, I wouldn't have anything to do, I don't think. So I'm just going to just mention a couple things. First, I want to, whoever prayed to stop this rain, I saw that on Facebook yesterday. Some of you were praying to stop the rain. Whoever's responsible for that, you've got a good direct line. I need your help. We have some elections coming up. Please pray for those. And I appreciate that you prayed the rain away from this picnic, but can you pray for it to come back tonight, because we got some beans and corn up in Atchison County and we need the rain. So if you'll do that. In the complaints department, let me share with you, County Chair, I get lots of complaints. Some of them are funny and sometimes they're not funny. I did get a funny one the other day about someone here in Leavenworth County. I don't know if he's still here. Yeah, I see him over there. Your county attorney. I got a complaint about your county attorney, Todd Thompson. The complaint was he was being too hard on crime. And I'm kind of looking away from the phone and I said, I've got the perfect solution. I said, tell whoever those criminals that you're talking to, whoever they are that don't like how hard Todd Thompson is on crime, tell him go to another county. Put him out of work. Go to a county other than Leavenworth. It's easily solved. So always get some of those complaints. They're kind of fun. So here's what's going on with in the state where we could use some help. Remember, we have a supermajority in both the House and the Senate. And we have to keep that supermajority, but we have to pick up 4 more. Now that's an ambitious goal. Why do I want 4 more than a supermajority? Because, for example, our value them both amendment, we lost that by 4 votes, even with the supermajority. So it's a dream as a party chair to have a supermajority. I deal with some other state chairs that don't have that luxury, but we still need more. And I hate to ask people who are putting so much in to give so much more, but let's go a little further, not just a supermajority. Let's try to get 4 more on top of that, because we need that value them the both amendment. Speaking of that amendment, in the complaints department, I had another interesting complaint, and it was about Leavenworth County. It was actually about me and my dealings with Leavenworth County. They called me to complain. There's a guy here in Leavenworth County, I've never met him in person. When I go to his office, he won't meet with me. A guy named Pittman. Well, I'm a Catholic, and he's a Catholic, and if you understand the teachings of the Catholic Church and you follow those teachings, it's very pro-life. So I thought, here's someone we can bring into the value them both. We'd like to reach across the aisle too. Bring him in. Well, I got a complaint that why in the world is the Kansas chair interfering with a Democrat in Leavenworth County? Leave him alone. And I sat there and scratched my head and thought, if I don't interfere with a Democrat when I can, what am I supposed to do? So we could use any help we can get to make sure that your Leavenworth County folks that you elect, I know you've got some great folks lined up here, give them your help, because we could really use them. I see Senator Braun, he was just right there a second ago. Yep, we need you. We really need you on this issue. We really need you. All right, let me talk a little bit, I know we want to get to some other folks, but let me mention to you what's going on nationally. We have the U.S. Senate race that's critical. I was here and listened to 4 candidates speak, and as I listen to those 4 candidates speak, the thought that goes through my mind is, as a party, we've got to come together after that primary, because what I hear those 4 candidates saying is so different than what I hear the Democrats saying. And so I know it's difficult when we get through an election. You picked your person that you wanted in that primary, and if they don't make it through the primary, it hurts, it's emotional. I get it. These elections that you all work on, you put your heart and soul in them. It's got a lot of emotion, I get it. But I gotta beg you, please, after the primary, everybody commit. Whoever's nominated, you had 4 good speakers here today on the issues. Figure out what other reason you want to support them, but then whoever it is, we have to get behind our nominee. We can't lose that seat. It's our U.S. Senate seat, and a while back I was going through Boyer's FEC reports, and I do a lot of work in New York. I'm a lawyer, and I do a lot of work with some New York lawyers. I have some good friends there, and I started seeing their names on her FEC report, and I thought, this is a Kansas seat. It belongs to us. And I know from dealing with those lawyers who are friends of mine, we have different ideology. We really do. Why are they trying to elect our U.S. Senator? So again, please help the party to get behind whoever wins that race. I think we've seen some damage at the state level, if you know what I'm talking about, from when we didn't unify behind our nominee. That really hurt us. And it's going to hurt us for a long time. And when it's not, I always try to emphasize people, it's not just 4 years. It's what happens after that, because the damage is long-standing. For example, the governor gets to appoint people to the bench. Some of us will be dead and gone before some of those appointees come off the bench. So it's not a 4-year proposition. It lasts much longer than that. So help us with that. We have these debates coming up next Wednesday in Wichita. And then the 4th and final will be in Atchison, and that's on July 15. So hopefully you'll come to Wichita. It'll be live streamed if you can't get there, but you know Atchison's only 20 miles from here, so, well, from here it's probably 30, but join us up there. We'll have them. In regard to the U.S. Senate debate, I just want to make one mention. We invited the 4 that you had speaking here today. All 4 were invited. I did get some complaints that Bob Hamilton was not in the Wichita debate. There were people that made an assumption that we didn't invite him. Just let me be clear, we did invite him. He has a daughter getting married on Saturday, so he's elected not to be there. I understand he'll be campaigning in Wichita on Tuesday, but he will not be staying for the debate on Wednesday. But if you hear somebody say the party's picking favorites and not inviting all 4 of them, help me to get that clarified. That's just not true. We are trying to be a party that supports as many as we can. If they're showing up in polls and they have the dollars and they look viable, we invite them to participate. So help me with that. And the last thing, and then I'm really done. RNC. Folks, you cannot appreciate your RNC too much. What's going on the national level right now with our convention? We have a governor down in North Carolina that tried to pull a fast one. You understand the way they were doing that, we couldn't constitute a quorum. We can't change our rules if we don't have a quorum. We can't renominate President Trump if we don't have a quorum. How interesting would that be for a governor who's a Democrat to stop us from doing the important business? But RNC, they are scrambling to get us booked in Jacksonville, Florida, where we have a governor who plays by the rules and wants the Republican Party to be able to do its business. But that's a huge task. They usually spend a couple of years booking these conventions, and now they're having to do it in a matter of weeks. So those of you that are delegates or you know delegates, bear with us when we say we don't have any information. We're giving the information out as fast as we can get it, but my hat is off to the RNC. You talk about a group that is scrambling and putting something together. There will be, some of us still have to go to Charlotte because that's where it was noticed. There will be a group of us that will go to Charlotte. We'll take care of the business there, but Jacksonville is going to be a celebration. It's going to be a celebration. I trust the RNC is going to celebrate the renomination of President Trump for 4 more years. And I hope you'll join us in that celebration wherever you are. If you're watching on television, wherever you are, have watch parties and join, because the amount of work that's going into that is phenomenal. So with that, thank you all so much. I appreciate you letting me have a few words, and I cannot thank those of you that on the grassroots. What you do is so important. Don't ever underestimate your impact on your party with every door you knock on, every phone call you make, every time you attend something like this. We see you, we appreciate you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Back to the House Representatives here for Kansas, and my personal favorite representative,
David French.
I thought you'd forgotten me again, Red. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I'll tell you, this has been it's always a great time to come to this picnic. They get all the good candidates out here. Really enjoy being here. I am David French. I am the representative for the 40th District, which includes the entire town of Lansing and about the southern third of the county of the city of Leavenworth, and then a couple of the townships in Delaware. So ran 2 years ago, got the badge to go up to the State House to represent those people. It's not something I really wanted to do. Hasn't been a fun time to do it, but it's a very important job, and we need to have more people sign up to do it. Now, how many people here have been either a candidate for an office or have actually held a political office? You people really need to respect these people. To stand up and to run for an office is not something that's easy to do. We don't respect them enough. We often talk about our politicians in a negative way, and the vast majority of them are there to help the community and the state. Now, my campaign manager has given me this great speech. I mean, it's great. She did a great job on it, but I'm not going to give it. I keep saying that I am a patriot, not a politician. I still say that even after 2 years of being a politician. But like I said, politicians are important to us every day of the year. They make or break our lives, so we've got to appreciate them. I am a constitutional conservative Republican, in that order. I believe in the Constitution totally. Some people don't think I do, but I do. I believe in it. You don't believe me? I got a Second Amendment right here. But the important thing as the Constitution goes, and I'm running for re-election, even though I'm not having any fun, but I just think we have to keep the conservatives in the House, as was said by the state chairman. We have a supermajority in the House. We have a supermajority in the Senate. Unfortunately, we have too many Republicans in the House that don't vote Republican. So we don't really have a supermajority, and we need to have more conservatives so that we can control a certain Democrat on the second floor of the State House. It's been a very interesting 2 years with this lady. We got another 2 years to go with her. So we've got to get some conservatives in the legislature to try to control her. Yeah. I totally agree. The main reason that I decided to run again was we failed this year. As been mentioned before, the Republican leadership in the House and the Senate was concentrating this year on getting the Value Them Both amendment on the ballot for August. And we failed. Senate didn't. Senate did great. They passed it. The House failed by 4 votes. And we had 4 Republicans that didn't vote for it. That legislation was the most important thing we could have done this year, and we failed. So we got to go back next year and try to fix that. You all know last year the Supreme Court decided that abortion is a right in this state based on the Constitution. How they figured that out, I don't know. I've reread it and reread it. It doesn't say that. But until we change that, until we can overturn that, that is the law of the state. And the state then becomes, again, like we were many years ago, the abortion capital of the nation. And we can't do that. How many additional abortions are happening every day in the state right now, April, compared to when that court decision was made? There were 15 babies dying every day in Kansas. And I'd be willing to bet it's doubled by now, wouldn't it? When you say that? Probably 30 a day. More than that, they're coming in from all over the nation. So we've got to change that. We've got to stop that. The amendment was the way to do it. We didn't do it. And I'm here today to tell you, if we don't get that amendment done next year, if I'm there, I'm going to submit a bill to ban abortion in this state. I mean, it's a sin. Let's just admit it. It's a sin, and we've got to stop it. So if we can't do it through an amendment, have the people vote on it, then we've got to pass it in the legislature and get rid of it. I have signs. I have T-shirts. If you'd like to support me on this re-election, I would really appreciate it. And thanks again for all being here. Thank you.
Moving up in the numbers, we have 41, and actually some of these are smaller than the county commission districts that we're going to have about later. So the last House district is bigger than any county commission we have, though. So, and that's a contested one. So we have a couple people to talk on that one. But this next speaker is someone I've known for quite a while. Spent some time with him in the Army, and now he said, you know, I'm going to follow Rhett into politics at the Republican Party in Leavenworth. And so he decided to run for House because I haven't done that yet. So let's welcome Pat Proctor for the 41st.
Hi, my name is Pat Proctor. I'm running to serve the people of Leavenworth and Fort Leavenworth as their representative in Topeka. If you live in Leavenworth, I'd be honored to have your vote. If you don't live in Leavenworth or Fort Leavenworth, I've got a truck right out here. Tell me where you live. We'll load up all your stuff, and I've got some vacant properties. We'll get you moved up there and registered in time for the election. So, no, seriously, I'm an Army veteran. I spent 25 years, including tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, defending our rights. That includes America's first freedom, the right to keep and bear arms. That includes the right to life, including for the unborn. And if you send me to Topeka, I'm going to continue to defend those rights in the State House. You know, I'm also a business owner. Me and my wife, we own a Bon Thai restaurant up in Leavenworth and Lawrence and Manhattan. And, you know, you hear a lot of politicians talk about creating jobs. Well, you know what? I've done it. And I know all the obstacles that government puts in front of small business owners to keep them from putting people to work here in Kansas. And it's never been more important than it is right now with so many people out of work because of this COVID-19 nonsense. I'm also an educator. I teach a couple days a week at Wichita State. I'm an assistant professor in their Homeland Security program. And, you know, I get the product of our K through 12 education system. Now, let me tell you, we ain't getting our money's worth. We are not. You know, I'd like to bring accountability to how we're spending our money. Right now, we're hiring 4 administrators for every teacher we hire. I love teachers. I think teachers should make more money, but the money's not going to them. It's going to bigger buildings and more administrators. So I want to get that money back in the classroom. I also know from being an educator that one size doesn't fit all in education. You know, my kids went through Christian school as they were moving up through their life, and I think that families should have that school choice for their kids, whether that's homeschool, private school, Christian school. They should be able to have all the advantage the folks that choose public school have. So I want to take a departure here for just a minute, and I want to talk about some stuff that's going on in the world because I'm deeply, deeply concerned about it. You know, I was watching TV last night, and in Portland, Oregon, somebody took our flag, put it over a statue of George Washington, set our flag on fire, and then pulled down the statue. I am personally offended by that. And you've all seen it on TV every night up in Seattle. There's an autonomous zone of radicals, and first thing they do is grab guns, right? You know, the Second Amendment's okay when they're protesting, but not okay for law-abiding citizens. They've grabbed guns and they've set up an autonomous zone. What these people are doing is they're trying to shatter our nation into tribes. And I want to talk about what that looks like because I've seen it. 2007, I was in Baghdad during the surge. Every night on the streets of Baghdad, we were finding the bodies of 50 dead Sunnis, many of them without heads. I apologize, I know there's a mixed crowd, but I want to be frank. Many of them without heads, murdered by Shia Iraqi Arabs that were trying to get theirs on the other tribe, trying to take from the other tribe. And then 2009, 2010, I was up in Saddam Hussein's hometown of Tikrit. It was the other way around because the Sunni Arab Iraqis had the advantage, and they were murdering Shia, they were murdering Kurds. Up near Kirkuk, they were in a shooting war with the Peshmerga, which is a Kurdish army, tribes ripping each other apart for the biggest share of the pie. What we have in America is precious. You know, we have a diverse nation, a nation of people of every color, every religion, every ethnicity, but we have common shared values that make us one nation. We have a common culture of freedom and entrepreneurship and liberty that makes us all one nation, no matter what race or ethnicity we are. And we have a common constitution that protects all people, that says that all people are created equal. This movement that's going on in our country is trying to destroy that. They're trying to rip that apart, and what we're going to be left with is a country full of tribes, killing each other, ripping each other apart, trying to get their biggest slice of the pie. And as long as I am alive and breathing and able to stop that, I'm going to fight to keep that from happening. So what can you do? There are a lot of incredible candidates out here that are fighting every day on the ground in their districts to move these principles forward and defend our American nation. So whatever your candidate is in your district, get behind them, help them put out signs, knock those doors, and let's elect Republicans in November.
He said he'd be Frank for a while, so I thought I'd call him Frank. Our largest House district and area, equivalent in population, everything else, is the 42nd. These guys have to go from down there at the corner of Leavenworth County by Lawrence all the way up to the Crown by Atchison. They have a huge district to cover. If Roger Marshall was here, he'd say, I understand what that's like because he's got the big first, but this is a group of people who are trying to get the 5th district here in Leavenworth County. We got 2 candidates here today to speak with us. They both helped sponsor this event, and we're going to start with our incumbent 5th District Commissioner, Mr. Mike Steben. I went to the wrong place. Hold on, sit down, Mike. I'm not going to talk county commissioners yet. I'm losing my mind. I have our incumbent for the 42nd House District is who I'm thinking of, is what I'm trying to say. It's Jim Carlskin. Is Jim still here? Jim was here earlier. I don't know if I kept him waiting too long, but Jim Carlskin was here. Well, if Jim's not here, we'll move on to Lance Neely and then give Jim time to show up. Lance is here still because I saw he's got a... There's Lance. So for the 42nd House District, Lance Neely.
But the size is the same.
I'm Lance, not Frank.
Francis.
Francis. Don't call me Francis. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Lance Neely, and I'm running for state representative in the 42nd District. Over a decade and a half ago, my wife and I built a house not too far from here in Tonganoxie. We have 4 grown children and 3 wonderful grandchildren. And We've been very, very involved with the community and the Republican Party. Many of the people that are running in here, my wife or myself, have been involved in their campaigns. My wife's currently running the gentleman that spoke just a moment ago. So we're very, very involved with trying to help the other candidates also. I've been a supervisor for over 30 plus years. I've worked in some high stress situations. I worked Department of Corrections. I've worked security in various places. And I can remember, oh, sorry about that. I have been a lifelong American. You always hear the candidates say that they are a lifelong Kansan. I've been a lifelong American. I've been a lifelong Kansan. And as long as I can remember, because of my beliefs, I've been a lifelong Republican. And I think that's important. There are a lot of people and a lot of people that are running and that are already up there in Topeka that are right on the border of whether or not they are still Republican or not. I am pro-life, defending life from the moment of conception to the natural death, which means I don't support an expansion of a program that Planned Parenthood gets 43% of its funding from, and could put the very people that it was designed to help at the back of the line. I am pro-business. We need businesses to help with tax relief. We need good businesses that want to be a part of our community and not take it over. We need tax relief to help the Kansas homeowner. The burdens on the Kansas homeowner are astronomical. We're being hit from the city, from the county, from the state, and it continues to rise year after year after year. And we've got to figure out some way to get some businesses in here to help us with those taxes. I am pro-Second Amendment. I sold firearms for several years over in a place in KCK. It starts with a C and ends with the Bellas. And there are 4 words: shall not be infringed. Owning a firearm is a constitutional right. Having education or classes or anything along those lines would be imposing on that right. It would have to have a database of every firearm owner and every firearm that they own. It would be infringing and put more government control on one of our constitutional rights. A firearm is just a tool. It's a valuable one right now in these troubled times, especially if we continue to hear the ignorance of defunding our magnificent people, men and women in blue. When I read the platform for the Republican Party, I said, I already have these beliefs. I already have these values. But after I read it, I said, well, I already have these values. I don't have to agree or disagree. Those are my actual values. And I want to read you a few of the things that are actually in the platform. These are word for word that are in the Republican platform that many people have not heard or not read in a long time. We welcome Kansans of every ethnicity into our party as we work together to preserve our heritage of political equality, religious freedom, and strong moral values. That's actually in the platform. We believe the rights of society and the rights of the individual must be protected. We support the work of law enforcement across the state to provide safe neighborhoods. It's in our Republican platform. We oppose using revenues
for abortion and funding organizations which advocate for it. We ask that the governor or the legislatures refrain from expanding Medicaid and other federal health programs. That's actually in the Republican platform. We believe that merit of the future legislation, policies, and candidates should be judged against the philosophy of the Republican Party as expressed by the platform. We need Republicans to read the platform. They need to read the platform. They need to follow the platform. What makes us Republicans. I'm Lance Neely, and I'm running for the 42nd District. I will help to try and bring businesses to the 42nd District in Kansas. There's no better place to bring business than here to the 42nd District. We have great people, we have places to put them, and we want to turn around and try and do that. I will be running for the people and for the businesses within the 42nd District and Kansas, not for Topeka and not for the government. I do have some upcoming events. I have not set dates on them. We will be trying to have an ice cream social type thing here in Tonganoxie, and everybody loves ice cream. So, and then we're going to try and have another one down in Eudora. And as soon as I have those, I will be posting them on the Leavenworth County Facebook page. Thank you very much.
I was asked to make sure that I very, very clearly articulated that Jim Carlskin was here. His family's celebrating Father's Day today so that they can leave Grandpa and go celebrate Father's Day for fathers, a little closer to the family. So they're getting Father's Day with Grandpa and then Father's Day with their own family, the kids tomorrow. So he left for that. And I knew I was surprised to see him because he said he couldn't make it, and he came in and he spent a little time talking to folks today. So I just want to make sure everyone knows he was here and he didn't just run off. All right, so now we get to the county commission, and I am still going to start with 5th District. 5th District's a very large district for the county. It has a current Republican incumbent, and it has a Republican challenger, so it will be decided in the primary. I don't think there was a Democrat filed, right? So the primary in August will determine who the county commissioner is, and we're going to start with our speakers with the current incumbent for the 5th District, Mike Steben. He can really come up this time.
Good afternoon. Thank you for all coming, and I'll try to make this short and sweet. But I am Mike Steben. I'm a locomotive engineer for BNSF Railroad for this February it'll be 25 years. I can retire when I hit 30 years, but I won't quite have the years. I have to be 60. I'll be 58 when I have 30 years. But I've been a locomotive engineer and for the railroad, and I have been very involved in the Republican Party for a number of years. And I had a very short time. We've had a lot going on the county commission in the last year and a half. I am one of the new commissioners. We went from 3 to 5 commissioners, and I was one of the 2 newly elected members of the county commission. And I have been honored and privileged to serve in this position. And I do feel that it's a position that, the door's open for you to serve. If that's what's intended, I'm open to serving the people of Leavenworth County again. And I would appreciate your consideration and your vote. Now, I wanted to just be like Mr. Proctor and just talk to you a minute. Those of you who have gone to college or have had kids in college, think about what is our national motto. Does anybody know?
In God we trust.
God we trust. So where does it start, our value structure? Where does America's value structure start? Belief in God. Then our founding fathers built upon that religious freedom. They came over and they said that we are e pluribus unum. Out of many, one. What's going on in our country right now? When I was in well, my mother's over there, and when I was young, she taught me, you will never say a word against someone of another race that's derogatory. You will never use the N-word. We would have had our mouth washed out with soap. But folks, when I went to Sunday school, we learned Jesus loves the little children, all the little children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they're all precious in his sight. That's what we were taught. That's America. That's what we believe. That's what we've learned all our lives. Have we ever embraced anything but that? I don't believe it. And I think that is what my message, when I see them taking down our statues, I can tell you this, on the county level, I'm going to ask the county councilor, whatever statues and whatever monuments we have in Leavenworth County, because we are a historic county, we must make sure that they are protected, and we must make sure that our history, and I am a history major from college, we have to protect the history of this country. And I will guarantee you that that is something I will stand for, and I know the other commissioners will stand for that as well. But that is something that's on my heart and mind today, so I wanted to bring that up. I have had an opportunity the last year and a half to be your commissioner. We've had tornadoes, we've had foster care homes, we've had sand pits, we've had pandemics, we've had all kinds of issues. I've been able to have 8 town hall meetings with my constituents. We discussed County Road 1, we've come to compromises, we've tried to say, well, how can we have a meet in the middle and come to a compromise on this issue to where the $25 million that was invested down there, the county could get that back, but we retain our rural heritage, and we're still working on that issue. We've worked on the comprehensive land use plan. We're trying to make development, economic development, more attractive to the county, where we don't slow you down. If you want to come into the county and you want to build, you want to get plat, we're trying to make it easier, not harder. Government doesn't need to throw a monkey wrench every time you try to develop in this county. That's the goal, and I'll continue that if I'm reelected. I do need your help. I have an opponent, and it's a race. And I will say this, I've made a real connection with my constituents, and I want to recognize Congressman Watkins. When the tornado hit, he was there the next day. And the Sheriff Dedeke and the congressman and his wife and I went and toured and looked at the damage. And the congressman helped us to get aid and help for our county. I really appreciate it. And I've built this relationship with the district, and I would appreciate your support and your help for re-election. Thanks.
Next speaker is also running for the 5th district, which is not quite as big as the 42nd House zone. It doesn't go all the way up to the northern side of the county. It doesn't go all the way over to the west side of it. Our east side, but we're pretty glad to have him here. And he sponsored the barbecue tonight, so Mr. Curtis O'Rourke.
Good afternoon. I'm Curtis O'Rourke. I was born and raised in Tonganoxie, Kansas. I've been here all my life. I graduated here, went to K-State for 2 years, and came back. My dad needed help in construction, which he did it for almost 40 years. And I have been self-employed for 32 years myself in construction. I was on city council in Tonganoxie in 2015 and 2019, that time. During that time, it's been very challenging because, you can't make everybody happy. There was a Tyson deal went through Tonganoxie. It opened a lot of people's eyes, and they found out how tough Tonganoxie is, throughout our community. Tonganoxie has a lot invested, the city, even the county with the business park down here. Our biggest challenge is we need economic development in Tonganoxie or even the 5th district. There's a County Road 1. It's been set up since 2005, 2006. And I said, that's a lot of money that's been sitting on the table that we really haven't been taking advantage of. You know, a tax dollar is something that everybody gets really uptight about and so forth. And, you know, 13% of the residential tax is not very much unless it comes out of your pocket. So the business, commercial side of it, about 30%, 32% comes out of their pocket. So they're pretty much doubled to come out of their pocket to offset that. You know, Mike, I'm challenging Mike, and Mike's done a good job. You know, the opportunity come across, I want to still serve, no different than I did in the city council. So that's where we're moving forward. And, you know, I could go on and go on and go on, but I'm just going to tell you right now that, you know, my heart's in Tonganoxie. It's always been here, and even Linwood. I know a lot of people down at Linwood. And I just want to make sure that we get the representation down here, because I know it's tough. A lot of them forget that, you know, it stops at Lansing line. So I just want you guys to realize that we're still alive down here. We have an opportunity, and I want to make sure that we can take advantage of it. So August 4th, support for me or Mike or whoever we're going to do, as long as it's a Republican, which it's going to be. I ask for your vote. So thank you. Also, if any of you go home hungry, you guys went through about 80 pounds of pork and 40 pounds of chicken, and you guys ate a lot, so just letting you know.
DJ Seymour.
We're going to go from 5 to 4 now. We have one person who's running for the 4th district, 2 Republicans running in that race. Well, 3, but I think one withdrew the day after he applied. But he's still on the ballot, and I think he's actually stumping for our next speaker. Running for the 4th Commission District, Mr. Tom Dials.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm probably not very well known politically in Leavenworth. The last time I held an elected office, I was president of my senior class in high school. But I was appointed 18 months ago as the treasurer in Delaware Township. And I decided to file, and I have no excuses, I was completely sober when I filed, against Mike Smith. Mike, as you know, is the mayor of Lansing. I'm a resident of Delaware Township, and Mike and I have highly divergent ideas of what the solution in Fire District 1 is. So finding an answer that works not for Delaware Township, but an answer that works for everybody who's in the district is a key component of the campaign. But the focus of where I want to be as a county commissioner is on economic development. And if you don't have good fire protection, you're not going to get much in the way of economic development. And I think that what we do in Fire District 1 can sort of become a template for what the county does in the other fire districts to see if we can improve first response services, health services throughout the county and attract more businesses. There is, as Mike mentioned a minute ago, there's a 119-page comprehensive plan that was published in draft in January. And that document's a good sketch, but it's not executable in its current state. I'm what in the Army we call a nugget in this business. I don't know a whole lot about what's going on in the detail that these folks do that are talking, but I'm a quick learner. I got out of the Army at 25 years to avoid a tour in the Pentagon. I always thought I was going back to Texas, but ended up in Kansas, and it's been a good choice. This is one of the best kept secrets on earth right here in this area. My wife Candy provides adult supervision, so if you have any problems with my behavior, you know who to talk to. I have a Facebook page and a web page. Contact information is out there, and so you can look me up. What else?
You don't have to take off 5 minutes, Tom.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Red. Let's not have the tail wag the dog here, so you guys can get out. I would appreciate your consideration as a vote, and I look forward to serving with Mike and Doug and Vicki and Jeff and anybody else up there, and doing a good job on the county commission and building solutions that let economic development proceed in the county. And I need to hear from all of you as to what that means, not just in District 4, but the county as a whole, as we fill out the sketch that is the comprehensive plan and turn it into a masterpiece. Thank you.
All right, our last speaker, well, our second last speaker, because we have an organization we want to speak to last. Our second last speaker is someone who's pulled our Leavenworth County Republican Party trailer. He has pulled barbecue up here for us. He's been there when we needed him, and he's there when you need him too. And let's have a big round of applause for Doug Smith.
Thank you, Rhett, and thanks for sticking around for next to the last speaker, I believe. But you know, I also carry my plan or my push card with me in every meeting. I have it in my notebook along with my pocket constitution, and everything I said I was going to do or try to get done. I didn't do this by myself. It's with the support of the board. I want to make that very clear. It's not me. But my plan was use my 34 years of experience for county roads and bridges. You notice we are paving a lot of roads out there, and we're doing it with sales tax money. It was the money that was intended for these roads. Economic development, continue to invest in the Tonganoxie business park, make it shovel ready. It's shovel ready now. And being transparent in county government, initiate a live webcam for the county commission meetings. You can watch our meetings on YouTube live now. Property rights. Like I said, we've made it easier for you to build a house, get a special use permit for a business. We've tried to streamline this and make it more efficient. And last was to improve the county website, making it more user-friendly. We had just approved a bid to have a new website put together just this past week. So, like I said, I do not have an opponent. I was ready for an opponent. I had ordered more signs, and I had done everything I was getting ready to start on with the campaign. So I will be helping other candidates with their campaign in doing that. But I did used to have 3rd and 5th district until we came 5 commissioners. So I used to have to go to City of Linwood, City of Basehor, City of Tongi council meetings. I attend all the Mayor Brewer's council meetings up until COVID, and they don't want us there. So, but like I said, I'm in close contact with the Mayor of Basehor every week. We, keep up on what's going on. Basehor, I have Stranger Township and Fairmount Township as I represent, which my town is the city of Basehor. You couldn't stop it from growing if you tried. I mean, it's just going to keep on growing. So we're very fortunate to have that town. But what I really want to talk about today is something I can't do, and that is property tax. I was a part of a board that lowered the mill levy 2 years in a row. We lowered it a quarter each year. Last year it remained flat. But the way our property tax and our appraisals are done on comparable sales, I just don't think it works. I mean, when you have an average of an 8% increase, that means somebody got a 2% and somebody got a 22%. And it's just not fair. I'm asking people at the state level to come up with a new formula on how to figure property tax. The comparable sales, we have a lot of people that's overpaying for houses in our area, and we're going to compare that to someone on a fixed income whose house is not for sale, and they're just trying to stay in their house, and we are property taxing them out of their homes. I mean, I know what my house is when I first built it and what I'm paying now. It's almost triple what it was. And you're talking 16 years. So I just don't know how people can keep doing this. And there's got to be a better formula. And I'm actually begging senators and representatives to help us to come up with a new plan on how we figure property tax. I'm open for that. I'm a supporter of the tax levy, but it still doesn't, on the comparable sales, it just doesn't work. I'm just asking for help, and I'm not too proud to ask for help. So, but on another note, this is my 38th year with Leavenworth County. I was an employee. I've been going to county commission meetings for over 30 years. Congressman Watkins has called in and participated on our meetings at least 3 times. I have never seen anything like that. So I just want to thank him. I mean, he's in Washington, D.C., and he's calling in on a Leavenworth County Commission meeting and participating. I mean, that is unbelievable. So, but like I said, most of you know me, but like I said, I am a pro-life Christian. I'm Second Amendment. Anyone wants to check my church attendance record, there's several people here that go to my church. I guarantee I'm there Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night, except for when I go to the Baser City Council meetings. I can't get the mayor to switch it from another night. But I do show up late sometimes, but that's who I am. I'm very fortunate. I do not have an opponent, but it does allow me to work for other pro-life candidates and to spend my time doing that. There doesn't appear to be any parades this year in Leavenworth County, so that's kind of a good way to get out and campaign is at parades. Where are you going to get all the people lining up in the street? Unless they're protesting. Now that's a different story. Maybe we can go to protest and campaign, I guess. With our trailer. With our trailer, yeah. But like I said, I really need for the county commission to work on this property tax thing. We need a new formula. So anyways, anybody has any questions of me, you can always contact me. I always answer phone calls 7 days a week. So anyway, thank you. I want to get... When we're talking about the sheriff, there's no substitute for experience. The sheriff, what you're hearing about this new buzzword, defund the police, take the money and use it for mental health. Well, the sheriff last year came in with his budget, and we negotiated with him, and he agreed to give part of his funding request to the Northeast Kansas Mental Health or the Guidance Center, correct? So, Leavenworth County and the sheriff's been doing that. So, but like I said, I've known the sheriff for many years. Like I said, there is no substitute for experience. Thank you.
Doug said he's going to help other candidates. I think I just heard 2 of the ones he was helping. Before I move on to our last speaker, I'd like to point out our candidates have been being reported by Tracy Ramey of Watch Kansas. So she's sitting over here. Watch Kansas. Keep your eye out. Keep your eye out in Kansas. So our next speaker is someone who's been around with us. We enjoyed being at the county fair. He'd be over there, but next to the Democrats, trying to convince them why they should support Convention of States. Then he'd come over and talk to us and say, I'm turning them. So I said, hey, that's great, fantastic. I just don't like to go over that side of the booth. So if you will give a warm round of applause for and I forgot his name.
David Copeland.
Yeah. David Copeland. I don't know why I forgot his last name. David Copeland in Convention of States.
Well, I intend to be brief. I'm going to take this back to the national level because Convention of States is a national project, a national organization. We're in all 50 states. We're organized to try to instill self-governance, a spirit of self-governance back to this country. We've heard numerous candidates talk about the war that's going on. And I think Pat put it very well, comparing it to the tribalism in Iraq. Well, I tell you, I'm in a tribe that believes in self-governance, believes in the supremacy of the individual over the state. Since the American Revolution in 1776, all of the major revolutions have been won by people who believe the opposite. They believe that the state has supremacy over the individual. And right now, we're in the Second American Revolution. And the other side wants to take away the supremacy of the individual and give it to the state. And I don't care what party they're in, what they're running for, but it's happening. One of the other things, I appreciate Lance was reading the Kansas Republican platform, and I couldn't wait till he got to the one that said that Kansas Republicans support the passage of a Convention of States resolution by the legislature. but he didn't get down that far on his list. So, because this tribe believes in the supremacy of the individual over the state, I just happen to be in that tribe, this tribe. And I'm proud to be here. I'm very happy to come up from Johnson County and enjoy Leavenworth County hospitality. I always tell Terry and Rhett that the Johnson County Republicans cannot hold a candle to you guys because they have their meetings at the Euro Bistro. Okay? There's no way that we're going to get the kind of food in Johnson County as you guys enjoy here. But seriously, and that's probably serious too, but seriously, I really think that this next election is going to be a major battle in this revolution, this second American Revolution that's been going on for 100 years. And the enemy has snuck up on us, and it is no time to sit back and be complacent. The losers in August need to get behind the winners in November. And it's been said, we have a numerical advantage. We have the numbers in this state. And we need Kansas to be standing with the tribe for the American Constitution, for the individual, and not the state. So, thanks again, Rhett. Thanks to all of you from Leavenworth, and I wish you all well this year. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and it's been a great day, and I have been told sometimes I indicate that it's the end of the performance before it's really the end. We'll have the park for a while yet, so you can stay around and talk to the candidates that are out there. But we are going to finish the formal portion of the evening with having a rousing send-off, hopefully. Belinda Katharima, is that Katharima? Okay. She's going to sing God Bless America for us today to close out the official portion.
So, I will be brief just like my height. But I think everybody agrees that now more than ever, we need God to bless America.
Land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with snow. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Please feel free to join in. God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with gold.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Thank you very much for coming. And now I'm going to sing some songs from Brother We're Out There. I am a man of constant sorrow. Thank you very much. That was pretty good. I thought I sounded pretty good.